You are listening to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all the latest news, Overwatch League results, and mishaps in Overwatch. Here are your hosts, Totemly Drunk and Edinar.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all things Overwatch. I am your host, Totemly Drunk, and tonight on episode 165, we'll be discussing the latest in Overwatch esports, see what's buzzing within our community, and so much more. Before we can get into the news and introduce you to my co-host, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who is joining us tonight on Twitch for our live show, and of course to thank all of our repeat listeners out there. So joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Edinar. And Ed, what a week it has been. We've had some major Overwatch League upsets. We've had Mayhem basically starting an entirely new team. We've got World Cup news. We got more lore.
We have World Cup shenanigans.
Is that what that is?
I'm a little, not upset, but a little annoyed by the World Cup news. But we'll get into that when we talk about the World Cup shenanigans. Yes, the Houston Outlaws won. No, it does not mean I have to say super nice things about them. I just won't say crappy things about them. Okay? Most likely. But no, it's been a crazy week. Like you said, we saw some upsets last week. We saw the Mayhem add the 6th place Korean contenders finisher to their roster, basically all of them, and their head coach. So who knows what's going on down in Florida, because they're probably not done yet.
There's something in the water.
It's a Florida man. Swamp people. They have issues.
They also eat each other with bath salts.
I tried playing Classic WoW today.
Yeah, how'd that work?
Well, they tried to do a stress test, but they had like 15, 16 servers or realms. And like you logged in and you're like, yeah, there's like 10, 15 people around. I'm like, then all of a sudden, like, Omar has decreed that this is not stressful enough. We are closing some servers or realms. And then it's like Thanos snap, and then the servers crashed. And it went down from, I think, 15, 16 realms to 2. So everyone went to 2 realms, and it was unplayable. Like, yes, the stress test worked, but I sat around doing the opening quest for 30 minutes. I had 1 of 8 kills.
Nice.
That I needed. Yeah, I think it was easily over 200 people in the starting zone.
Just get there before all 200 of them, forehead.
Well, I tried, and then they closed my realm. So, yeah, it was fun. I'm looking forward to it. This is a sneaky, crazy week with news.
It is.
So we'll jump right in, because who knows how long we're gonna go tonight.
Yeah, will we jump right in? I feel like we at least need to note that you and I did do a couple of placements yesterday.
Oh God.
For better,
Do we have to?
for better or worse. If you guys want to watch that painstaking experience for that 1-4 run that Ed and I had. By the way, our win was our final game. It was pretty brutal. So I'm gonna go back and watch that on the replay.
And the thing is I am horrible at DPS. Like, I'm just not good at damage dealers. And that's the one map I was on a damage dealer. And we somehow won. Yeah. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Next time, no, I am gonna try Sombra, and we'll try that, because that was like the one thing I wanted to try. We didn't get to that point yet, but it was definitely brutal. Hopefully our next outing will be going a little bit better, but it is towards the end of the season, so there is always next season to look forward to. But it was definitely a rough go, and we had some toxic people as per usual, but like basically everything we tried just wasn't clicking, or we just had wonky comps. But that is the life of where we are on the competitive ladder right now, but it is a news-heavy week, so screw competitive talk, let's talk about what's going on in the game. And for starters, well, we got a new patch that was deployed here on Tuesday, that of course being patch 1.37, which brought a new challenge, which ties into another thing we're going to talk about tonight. We also got the replay feature. We got a couple of hero updates and more, so just as a quick overview, as we have technically covered this already, and all this did get patched straight from PTR to live. So we have the replay feature officially launched, so you can go into your profile and view the 10 most recent matches that you have played from any vantage point. So whether it's first person, third person, bird's eye view, all of that good stuff, you can slow down time, speed up time, and just, you know, see how bad your team is doing or how poorly you're positioning, all of that good stuff. And I'm definitely going to check that out at some point for at least one of our matches. I'm not going to go through all of them just because I don't want to relive all 5 matches again. But, you know, this is something that we've all been looking forward to. But just as a reminder, when the game does patch, just like your highlights, with the replay system, your replays are going to reset. So keep that in mind. In regards to the balance updates, of course, we had a couple. We had Baptiste, who has 2 more heal ammo, so it went from 10 to 12. They also increased the duration of his amplification matrix, which is his ultimate, from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. They nerfed the D.Va defense matrix length from 15 meters to 10 meters. McCree is Gatling Gun McCree now, as they reduce his primary fire recovery from 0.5 seconds to 0.42 seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is. You can now deploy your barrier and also reload at the same time as Orisa, rather than having to do one or the other, which is nice, which definitely came into play in at least one of our matches. They also increase the interact range for Symmetra's teleport, as well as nerfed Torbjorn's secondary fire. So Ed, you know, for the most part, when we were doing our games, we didn't really see a whole lot of McCree. I know I tried him, and it feels really interested. Like, I feel like I am more accurate with the shots, but the thing that was throwing me off was just due to the extra rate of fire. I was losing track of how many shots I had whenever I was wanting to alternate fire. So when I went to fan the hammer, I'd be like, oh crap, I only have 2 shots, and then of course, more times than not, that ended up biting me in the ass, and I wasn't able to finalize a kill.
Yeah, alright, I'm just gonna say this about McCree and the change to McCree right now. To put it into perspective, who are like, okay, people are complaining about McCree buff. You all know Hanzo's Storm Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Does 70 damage per arrow. Imagine that was his main attack, because that is what McCree does. He fires just as quick, does just as much damage as Hanzo's Storm Arrow, as his primary. Let that sink in a little. Like, that's kind of insane. You can get 24 shots off if done right. Like in a row, like fire, you know, roll, fire, roll, all that fun jazz. And it's insane. I wish I was competent enough on him to play him in comp. I wanted to pick him, but I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna stick to Junkrat.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, probably for the best, but it's definitely something in quick play I want to play. I did notice when you were on McCree, it's just, he is good, but if you build a team around him, he's dominant. Like, you can only do so much as McCree, and I saw that because just of positioning, the people we had with us playing, what heroes they were on. If you build around a McCree, it could be pretty deadly. So, oh god, it's gonna be good. I like it. I actually really like the fact that McCree is overpowered, because McCree is one of the most fun heroes to play in the game. And watch.
I love it, but I also loathe it, because, you know, I do like to play a lot of Pharah. And anytime there's more hit scan, it always worries me.
Like, I'll say this. I think new McCree would be more interesting to watch than Widowmaker. I'll just say it because like Widowmaker. Okay, if you're watching Widowmaker, she's just kind of sitting in the back, zoomed in, looking for a headshot. Where McCree's actually in the fight and clicking heads, and actually doing things. And it's less frustrating to get like, oh, I got killed by that McCree, to be like, hey, I poked around this corner and boom, Widowmaker took me out. So, I don't know. I look forward to it. I like these changes. All of the changes. There's not one that I didn't think was justified.
So outside of that, we also got the update to Assault mode. So they made a couple of changes. So first off, the time awarded for capping point A on all Assault maps has been reduced from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. And then upon losing that first point, any defenders that are dead or die shortly after will have a max respawn of 3.5 seconds. So, you know, with Assault, that's always kind of been like the one mode that everyone always gripes about. It feels really bad to like nearly full hold on A, only to lose it, and then for that snowball to just go straight into B, and then them having a massive time bank. So this is gonna try to help alleviate that. My only concern, as I mentioned in the past, is it doesn't really change anything in regards to the alt economy when it comes to the potential snowball. So I will have to see how this one shakes out. I feel like there's still going to be more changes to come, though, for Assault.
Well, you got to think, though, in regards to alt economy, you might actually see more steamrolls. Because, all right, perfect example, think Paris. A lot of teams are going to the wonky comps on Paris. They capture point A, they get all their alts, they kind of just steamroll them. Well, take a minute of the time away for them to go to point B and capture it, they are less likely to go and switch to a GOATS comp and stick on what they have because they don't want to. They don't have the time to build up the alts for everything. So it will be interesting to see how this changes. I mean, it still sucks. They're still not great maps. I do like the staggering change that they made, because that's just the most annoying thing on Watchpoint Gibraltar. Yeah, on Gibraltar. When they, after point B, it's like 99% of the time somebody is staggered and they have to come out right at the opposing team. And it's just like, well, crap. And then it's just half the way to point C they get because they stagger the tank, or they stagger one of the healers, or some crap like that. I'm not a fan of it.
I find it funny that you're talking about Gibraltar when we're talking about Assault maps.
I know, but I'm sorry. Oh, is it only on Assaults that the stagger changed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was on all maps. Well, that sucks. You still have to see that.
Womp womp womp. Yeah, you can take that Gibraltar
reference
spawn door like right outside of that opening gate. Yeah, it's definitely rough to watch. It's still gonna happen, unfortunately. But anyways, so of course outside of that, you know, there were some bug fixes as well. We're not really gonna touch on that. There were also some workshop bug fixes as well, and a couple of updates there, which are way too technical for us to talk about on an audio podcast. So we're gonna glance over that. So if you guys want to check out all of that stuff, be sure to go read up on the show notes, which you can find in our show notes or also in the launcher as well. But moving on, we do have some competitive talk that I'm definitely interested in particular, because I do like this game mode. It's fun. And, you know, with the McCree buffs, all bets are off, really, with this now, because McCree was already really good in this specific one. We have the return of competitive free-for-all deathmatch. This is its second season. It's returning after basically like a one-year hiatus. It was back in May of 2018. So, of course, for the maps you have Chateau Guillard as well as Petra. And, you know, just like in the normal arcade mode, it is 8 players. The first player to secure 20 eliminations wins the game. So just like with normal competitive, and really all competitive modes, you're going to have to do placements. And you can earn an exclusive Season 2 icon. Of course, I got the player spray. And you could get some competitive points that you can use towards unlocking golden weapons. So looking at how this is lining up, this is basically like going alongside with the Baptiste challenge that also started, so we're expecting this to basically be going on until the start of July. So it's just an additional way for people to earn competitive points. I don't know if like you're really interested in competitive FFA, but I know I'm at least gonna do placements just so I can get points at the end of it, and you know, really 10 games in this mode in particular honestly doesn't take that long.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat as you. I like free-for-all. I'm not good at it, but I like it. It's fun. It's more fun to me because it seems less, I don't want to say less skill-based, because a lot of it is more like, okay, did I spawn in front of someone? Or, you know, did I snipe that kill as Moira from that person type of situation? But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's one where I don't mind if I lose, like, because it was just a good time. So I'll probably at least do placements.
Here's the thing, Ed. I'm just curious. In this mode in particular, knowing that there's 8 people, do you expect to lose more so than normal competitive?
Well, all right. Define losing.
Bottom 4.
I got a 50-50 shot.
Well, I mean, isn't that technically true for normal competitive?
No, it is not true.
Well, I guess you can't you can't draw in this one.
Yes, and they even said they want all the matches to be 50-50 offense defense win, but it's not in that boat. So there's always someone has a slight advantage in free for all. You start off 50-50. It's just a matter of how much you cheese, or if the other person's like, I'm gonna be Tracer, like, okay, you're gonna die quick.
Yeah, the key is just picking Pharah on Chateau and then just booping people off the map constantly and just farming that way.
Yeah, or the people who are like, I'm gonna be Lucio and I'm just gonna ride walls the whole time. I'm not gonna get any kills, but you can't kill me. They're definitely good and bad heroes.
The best primarily being Roadhog, McCree.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can have somebody who heals themselves for a massive amount, reduce damage, has a hook, like you're gonna do just fine. So, yeah, I'll at least do my placements.
Absolutely. Well, I know I'm not going to be playing Lucio in that one at least, but we do have a new workshop mode that is solely built around Lucio, which I'm really excited about, and I've actually already been playing this one. And of course, it comes from none other than Darwin Streams, who's been at the forefront of literally everything workshop related since the dawn of time for workshop. So, you know, Darwin, he's been tugging at my heartstrings for these nostalgia trips lately. And this time, we're getting Lucio Pro Skate, which is a spin-off of basically Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So if you've never played Tony Hawk, that was like a staple PlayStation game. I don't know why you wouldn't have.
Tony Hawk is the first game, because honestly, let's talk about this. The best Tony Hawk was on Nintendo 64. And it was the first game to truly have like a legit soundtrack. Because everyone knows Goldfinger.
Right.
Because of that game. And then you hear that song, and you're just like, oh, these are the days. I love it. I have to try and collect letters to say skate. Yes. And then the speed. Oh, now I want to go play it because I actually have it.
So do I. Well, anyways, basically in the Lucio Pro Skate, basically what you're trying to do is you were trying to gain points by spinning in midair or by jumping from wall to wall. So the longer you spin or the wider distance you're able to jump, the more points you are going to earn. You can also earn additional points by using some of Lucio's voice lines and emotes. So basically in this, they kind of replace your primary fire and your secondary fire to help make things a little bit easier to earn points. So with your primary fire, it actually is replaced with a spin trick. And then for your secondary fire, I mean, it still has a boop, but it actually boops yourself up, which allows you to reach higher ground, or, you know, also helps aid you in being able to jump farther or just get more rotations in the air. Now, if you guys want to check this one out, you can use the import code of QFQM0 to check this one out. So, I have to say, like, out of all of them, Ed, I think this has probably been the one that I've had the most fun with. At least the ones that are, like, Lucio-specific. Like, I do like the wall ride ones that we have seen, but there are definitely, like, certain maps that are a lot harder or a lot easier than others, but this one is just right down memory lane, and I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours I spent in Tony Hawk, so this is right at home for me.
Yeah, no, it fits right at home because it just reminds me of when you have that. All right, go to this vert ramp and do 150,000 point trick, and you keep trying to do it and keep trying to do it. It's just this one hits all the feels for me. Screw that Smash Brothers stuff. No one really likes Smash Brothers. It's not that good of a game.
Says a person who hasn't played it.
Yes, but there's a reason I haven't played it. It's just not that good.
Yeah, okay.
It's not Tony Hawk. But, you know, this one does hit all the feels. I'm waiting for Wrecking Ball, a proper Wrecking Ball race game. Which should, in theory, come out soon. I know they've come out with some iterations, but you need someone to spend some time and, like, kind of make the right map and stuff like that. So I'm excited. This one looks fun. I'll die a lot because I'm horrible at wall riding. I don't know why I'm horrible at wall riding. I just am.
You don't have to worry about dying in this one. That's only in the wall ride specific ones.
Oh, okay. See, if I don't have to worry about dying, then I'm good.
Because, I mean, if you're, you know, just skating normally, like in Tony Hawk, like, you're not just, like, falling on your ass all the time.
No, but this one, like, from the clips I saw, they're over, like, the edge of the map, too. Right. Or they're doing tricks over the edge of the map, like along the walls. Eichenwald. I saw, so I'll probably die there. That's my guess.
Then you'll get stuck in the abyss.
Yeah, fair enough.
Alright, so outside of that, it's been a very busy week in regards to Baptiste. We got a lot of stuff this week. We got a new short story, which honestly is probably the best lore content we've gotten ever for Overwatch. Like, I was really surprised by how good this short story was. We also have a new challenge going on, which also ties in with the short story. And I know they're also doing, like, partnered streams as well, so you can earn additional sprays. So, let's talk about the short story, which is What You Left Behind. So basically, in What You Left Behind, we get details about Baptiste. We also learn of Mauga, who is one of the Talon Brutes, or Evil Maui, as I know Spider coined him. We also learn more about Talon, and we have a lot of references in regards to the downfall of Overwatch and a lot of some pieces of the post-Overwatch recall story. Now, this story was written by Alyssa Wan, and this is her first Overwatch story out, and this one is over 20 pages. So basically, if you want a quick overview, this story takes place a few days after Winston sends out the Overwatch recall. So we basically open up to find Baptiste working alongside Dr. Mondesir, who is one of Baptiste's childhood friends, who they basically grew up together in an orphanage outside of their town. And as children, they had a dream that they wanted to build a clinic in order to, you know, help serve their neighborhood, which is something that Baptiste helped fund with some of his savings. But one of the problems that they're dealing with is that the clinic is running low on supplies, and a lot of that is thanks to Sinclair Pharmaceuticals, who have been basically hiking prices. So there's, like, a lot of stuff going on in the town with, like, the townsfolk coming in with complications because they've been taking counterfeit pills, so a lot of them are just looking for anything to help them, even if it just makes matters worse, because they're not able to get the help that they need. And, you know, Baptiste is in town for basically, like, the longest period that he's been back at home, and he actually runs into some old faces at the bar who work for Talon. So we are introduced to Mauga as well as Nguyen, And we learn a lot of different things. So we learn that the Talon headquarters is in Rome. We know that, there's kind of like this mission that, Mauga is trying to basically shake down the Sinclair pharmaceutical owner, because he's been stealing not just from the community, but from Talon as well. And we get, like, this whole, like, flashback story from 4 years ago, before Baptiste left Talon. But what's interesting about this, Ed, is the fact that, Mauga is basically... I think it's safe to say, like, he's kind of penciled in to be, like, the next hero. At least that's what a lot of people are expecting, because we get a lot of ideas of what his toolkit is based on this short story. Like, we know that Mauga basically, like, wields, like, 2 giant Gatling guns, which are, like, the size of, like, adult men, essentially. So that's gonna be interesting. He is a shield tank. He's a brute. But there are some things that, might only be for story purpose, like the ability of him to deflect, like, bullets when he's shot at. But I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but Baptiste is basically, like, the only person who understands Mauga, and he's actually able to calm him down, from his rage that he feels. And basically, like, we go through this whole, like, flashback situation, and Baptiste has kind of, like, been on the run, and Talon is trying to bring him back to their headquarters, and it basically evolves from that point. Now, we do learn a few things about Baptiste and Overwatch in particular, with Baptiste looking up to Overwatch since his youth. We know that he has worked with Mercy in the past for a brief period of time, and he basically is trying to find Mercy towards the end of the story, to the point where he actually calls up Sombra in hopes of locating Mercy. So we'll see where this is gonna go from here, but, I have to say, like, I really like the character work that was brought with the introduction of this Talon brute, because, he's like this really big guy who is wearing, like, these really tacky Hawaiian shirts, which is just feels really out of place, but you can tell, like, how boisterous and how much... I'm trying to think, like, how I should best describe him. But he does feel like he has a larger-than-life persona.
He's evil Maui.
Yeah.
Like, Spider nailed it on the head. He's evil Maui. Plain and simple. Like, he's tailored to fit into the game almost right away with a kit that we kind of know about. So that means we will not be getting him in the game. And he'll just be in lore. But, it was a great story. It's great background of Baptiste. But Evil Maui was definitely the thing people remember the most, because it's the new character that was kind of introduced. Like, there's Baptiste and then there's him. Like, those are the two. If one of his abilities, it doesn't turn him into half shark, half human, I'd be a little upset. Maybe he can sing a little song. You're welcome.
Yeah.
No?
I mean, he could do it.
They work with Disney. They can make this happen.
Right.
But, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It's nice to see actual lore back out there. That's the big thing I took away from this. Yes, it's a 20-plus page, article or a story, which a lot of people probably won't take time to read, which you should. But at least it's some form of lore that we've been deeply missing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting this few and far between. So, maybe this is going to lead into the next hero, because we're probably due for a new hero, or at least a new hero tease, because we're probably looking at July for a new hero. Or end of July, because then that will be end of July, early August, because then that means there will be another one announced at BlizzCon in November. So we're due for one. This could be the start of something. I don't know, but like you said, I want to know more about this whole Baptiste contacting Sombra to find Mercy. Like, it makes me want to know more about Sombra.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Sombra, what you doing? We already know you're like semi-good. Maybe not. We're not quite sure. So, I don't know. It was a great story. I really enjoyed it. So go read it. You did see some art concept through it all, and that could lead to new skins coming out, or an idea of what some new skins might be.
Absolutely. So along with this short story, we also have a new challenge, which is very similar to like the Nano Cola challenge that we got with Diva. So this actually started on June 18th and will be going until July 1st. So during the event, players can unlock a new Baptiste skin by winning games. So when you win 3 games, you get a combat medic player icon for Baptiste. You'll also get 2 in-game sprays when you win 6 games, and then when you win 9 games, you get the epic skin, which is the combat medic skin for Baptiste. So along with that, they're also doing the partnered streams with certain streamers as well, where you can earn additional Baptiste sprays for in-game, which are unlocked basically every 2 hours. So just like in the prior events, it is worth noting, like, they do have certain streamers listed. Like, you don't have to watch those streamers during those hours in order to accumulate to get the sprays. Like, you can watch any of them at any time. As long as they have the drops enabled, you're going to be able to earn the spray, so it's definitely worth noting. So make sure that they have the drops enabled. I know they had some pretty notable names, like they had Seagull, I think, was the one kicking it off. Darwin was going to be one of the listed streamers. They also got, the Runaway Team Flowervin listed, which I thought was great. And, there are also a couple of pro players listed as well. But as always, guys, if you don't already, be sure to link your Battle.net account and your Twitch account together so you can earn these sprays. And then you, too, can get the Evil Maui, like, in a, like, umbrella drink. Just, like, chillaxing.
Yeah. Alright, so what's weird about the list of streamers is, like, it's all, personalities and stuff like that. Except for one. There's an actual Overwatch League player on this. In Bacon Jack. That just seems weird to me that they're going to take the one player from Chengdu, maybe to get more of a Chinese viewership? Maybe?
Well, you got US, you got Korea, you got Pacific, you got Europe. I'm not sure where Darwin is from, to be honest.
Sounds European.
I mean, either way, there's some pretty good coverage either way.
Yeah. It just seems weird that there's only one Overwatch League player, actually, in all of this, and it's Bacon Jack.
Mm-hmm.
That just seemed weird to me. But yeah, I think I got most of the sprays from Twitch, because I just had Seagull on in the background, like, all day yesterday, so...
Well, there you go. That's all you have to do.
Yep, that's what I do, and every time they have one of these drops, just have the person on in the background.
But if you're watching Seagull, you might have missed a golden kappa.
I could have. I'm not too worried about that. I don't think I'm missing really anything.
Okay. Well, with that being said, be sure to go unlock your sprays by checking out some of the partnered streamers that are doing this as well. And of course, winning 9 games in quick play, arcade, competitive, all of that good stuff doesn't really take too long. So, like, you can get this stuff, and then also your loot boxes for the week when you're doing it in arcade, so it's like double bonus.
Trenchfoot in chat just actually said, Bacon Jack is from Taiwan, where Twitch isn't banned, unlike China. So, okay, so there you go, that makes sense.
I mean, it's technically Chinese Taipei. I mean, isn't that what they always go by in the World Cup? Just to confuse people, they don't actually call them Taiwan.
Stop with the logic.
Well, anyways, let's move into our hot community topics. We got a couple of bugs that have been rocking Overwatch here as of late. One of them was fixed with the current patch, which is good to note, but it's still kind of in effect elsewhere. So, Brigida has basically as we all know, been the bane of our existence since her inception. And you can thank Torbjorn for that, but that's his problem. But lately, the armor has been more potent than usual, and there's a pretty good reason for that. So basically, there's been a bug that has been revolving around her armor. So when Brigitte provides armor by rally, it's been stacking with her standard armor. So it's kind of weird. So basically, like, it's been reducing damage inconsistently, up to 45% more than it should. So her multi-layered armor has been reducing like an additional 20 to 45% of all incoming damage than just a single layer armor. So the more armor that Brigitte loses, the less damage her armor reduces. And while this was patched in 1.37, this is still happening in the Overwatch League until they deploy a new patch. So it's just one of those things, like, if you're wondering why Brigitte seems a little bit stronger than what she should have been here as of late, that is why.
Keep nerfing her all you want. It's not going to change the fact. Like, she's still really good in GOATs. This isn't going to get rid of GOATs. And the thing is with all of this with her, they still haven't said, like, Blizzard hasn't responded to this. So we don't even know if this is going to get fixed.
Well, I mean, they did technically fix it. It's just, it's still present in Overwatch League.
Oh, okay, yes. But, like, it's fixed, but it's not fixed in the Overwatch League where everyone wants it to be fixed. And nobody really cares. Because they're going to stick to their guns and say, well, it's not on the current patch, so Overwatch League won't use it till stage 4. Like they said so many times before. So, I don't know. This is a meaningless change to me, because once GOATS is dead, she's dead. Because she is not good outside of GOATS. Let's just say that. She's been nerfed to the ground so many times. She's not good outside of GOATS. So, you know, you keep nerfing the wrong problem. So, but, you know, I'm glad, like, the thing that intrigued me the most about this article about it was that they used a workshop mode that shows how much damage and everything you're doing in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more intriguing to me, because that actually can let you know if you're getting headshot, like, you know, if you have the numbers pop out at you instead of just looking at health bars and assuming what you're doing. Right. So this way you can mathematically actually check things that to be accurate, which you couldn't before. Mm-hmm. So that's nice. That was probably the most intriguing thing about this article.
Absolutely. Well, that's not been the only bug that has been discovered here as of late, because, you know, with the new patch, there had to be some very noticeable glitch going on, and this is only affecting Xbox, which is interesting to me. We've never really had something that's just specific to one thing. So anyways...
Get a PC.
I mean, yeah, Microsoft. I mean, they should... They could totally play on PC.
Like, Microsoft gaming console. Why? Just build better PCs for gaming. God damn Bill Gates.
Well, anyways, basically there's a glitch that has caused Overwatch to crash when multiple ultimates are used at the same time. And at the center of all of this, the cause of all of the problems, is Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball is the catalyst to this game-breaking bug. So basically, when Wrecking Ball uses his minefield at the same time as someone else uses an ult, I'm pretty sure, like, it's when a teammate uses an ult, basically, the entire enemy team disconnects from the game and crashes. So, I mean, you know, that's great for your team. Not so good if you're in the opposition. But anyways, Blizzard did announce today, and this is current, that they disabled Wrecking Ball on Xbox in competitive until they get the bug fixed, and they do not have an ETA on this. So if you're wanting to run your wacky triple DPS compositions on Xbox in competitive...
Wait, so it's still... They can still do it in quick play, though?
Yes.
I feel you should have just taken Hammond out completely. Like, Don't just allow it in quick play and not competitive. No. Stupid Blizzard.
Well, I mean, what are you losing, like, in quick play? I mean, just quick play.
Rage? Like, don't tell me you would not get triggered if every map you went into, though their team was running Hammond and purposely trying to get you to disconnect.
I like how you feel like the community is that cynical where it's gonna happen in every instance.
Hey, have you met Reddit?
Doesn't mean it's all over Reddit.
Okay. So when's the last time there was a huge, big problem with Overwatch on consoles? It was the turrets.
Yeah, Torbjorn.
And what was in literally every match, no matter what. Even though everyone knew it was a problem and knew it was an issue and that it made the game unplayable, you still had it in every match.
The problem was that wasn't a glitch, though.
Auto aim assist is a glitch. Just saying it now. Let the hate flow. I can't hate on the Outlaws anymore. I'm just gonna get the hate mail from console players. I'm okay with this. I don't know. Take it out of quick play. Take it out of. Don't. You should allow it in Mystery Heroes because the likelihood of all that happening in Mystery Heroes.
Yeah, you get in 2 ultimates at the same time.
Yeah, it's not happening. Malik can be mad at me for being a console hater. Aim good.
Get good for it. Well, I mean, you don't want to be aim god. He's benched.
Very true.
Also, he's on Boston. So, you know, there's also that too. Well, anyways, so today, the Overwatch League trading cards actually came out. Of course, this was in partnership with Upper Deck. So, of course, like with these trading cards, as we mentioned in the past, this revolves around the inaugural season, and the base set includes 125 cards, which features players, maps, Season 1 highlights, team checklists, and of course you do have your specialty cards, so they have like autograph cards as well as fragment memorabilia cards, which are like jersey cards. So for the ink autograph ones, like you can have like solo, duo, and trio ones. So obviously the ones that have 3 autographs are the more rare out of the lot. And there are also like other things like rivalry cards, ones that have league leaders, stage winners, grand finals, and you know, a couple of other things. So if you're wondering how much the Overwatch League cards cost, I will tell you, I'm not too fond of the price point. Even if you buy in bulk, you're not really saving too much money. Like, it's such a minuscule amount, like, it's just laughable. So the packs, which do include 6 cards, cost $3.99. Now, if you want to buy a booster box, which is 24 packs, you can get one for $93.99. And, you know, if you just have effort money to throw away, you can buy a case, which is 12 boxes, for a staggering $1,119.99. Which is way too much money. But anyways, I know there's been a lot of confusion about this card set and whether or not these are digital-only cards, because they are under the Upper Deck E-Pack. And the answer to that is they are digital first, but you can get physical cards. The only difference is you can't actually buy physical packs or physical boxes for these cards. So basically on the cards, they are marked with an orange or a gray icon in the bottom left-hand corner, which basically denotes whether or not the card is physical. If there's not an icon there, then that card is digital only, and basically, like, if you have duplicates for your digital collection, you can combine them in order to get a rare parallel card, which you can redeem as a physical card. And, you know, with that, you have to have, like, 9 duplicates, which, like, I unboxed one of the 24 packs earlier today, and I will tell you, I did not have a single duplicate. So, take that for what it's worth. But basically, if you're wanting to get, like, specific players, you can utilize the on-site trade-in to get extra copies of either like the base card to use to combine, or just try to trade for a physical card outright. But of course, like, Upper Deck will ship the physical cards straight to you. But I will say, like, the system is pretty weird, because when you add in, like, combine-in cards, and then having, like, basically, you have, like, uncommon cards, rare cards, and then, like, another rarity above that, and then there's, like, 10 different, like, variants, but then there's technically, like, 3 of each one. So by the end of it, like, I was actually looking at how many, like, attributes there are in this set, and there's 39. Like, I remember, like, in the 90s, like, the sports sets had a lot of, like, attributes, but it was never anywhere near 40. It's just a staggering amount, and I know, Ed, like, you were in stream when I was unboxing, and I do have that in the Twitch VODs. It's also up on our YouTube, and basically, I think at the end of it, I had, like, 5 or 6 rare cards or above, and then it was, like, 25 or 26 physical cards out of... I honestly can't remember how much it was beyond that, but it's not a lot in regards to actual physical cards versus the rest of your collection. And I know that's going to be one of the biggest gripes, because you don't really feel like you're getting a value when a lot of people are going to want the physical copies.
Yep. Hard pass for me on these cards. For that exact reason alone, is I don't want e-cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that does not intrigue me whatsoever. And this whole system that they have is super overly complicated. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, collect 9 of these. You open 24 packs. You didn't get 1 duplicate.
Right.
Well, to combine them to make something, you need 9 duplicates. What? No. Just no. Give me physical cards that I can collect. Like, I'm hoping they sell some at BlizzCon this year, because then I'll buy some.
I feel like if they're gonna do anything, they will have, like, promo cards,
which is fine, and I'll get those.
Because that's what they did for the All-Stars.
Yeah, I have zero interest whatsoever in getting e-trading cards, and especially paying up the wazoo to get them and basically have nothing to do with them. Like, this is... People who have problems with loot boxes should get into the e-card, like, industry, because this is outrageous.
I will note, Ed, I was looking on eBay at, like, the price points for some of the physical cards, and on the high end, some of the rare cards were going for, like, 40, 45 bucks. A lot of them were, like, 20 to 40.
For the Overwatch.
Yes.
Now, that is because... A lot of that is because, well, they weren't available.
Mm-hmm.
Like, today's the first day even the E1s were available. That's gonna probably drop dramatically.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on it, so, like, if there's a chance that I'm gonna look at... Like that Muma one, I have a legendary Muma card, which is serialed 2 of 25. Like, there's only 25 of those out there. Like, if I'm gonna sell anything, like, maybe I can sell that for a good amount of change, and, you know, maybe I can buy another box out of that.
Yeah, I mean, and you could do stuff like that. You know, get the legendary Avast card. Because everyone wants that.
Well, I mean, it is worth noting, like, everyone does have a legendary card.
Everyone has a what?
One of the legendary cards.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, you can get the legendary Avast card. Be rolling in the dough then. No, you won't. Like, I was so excited when this became, like, you know, like, when this was announced, and then once you're like, oh, I just bought, like, you know, the box. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. At first, I was like, okay, that will probably come in, and knowing Blizzard in like 2 weeks, he's like, I'm gonna open them on stream tonight. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, see, there was a lot of misinformation out there, because it didn't specifically say, like, hey, these are digital only.
Yeah, so not a huge fan. So I can't talk them up. I'm not going to spend money on the digital ones myself. I'll buy them in person at BlizzCon if that's an option, but I have zero interest in it. And seeing how many Outlaw ones you opened was disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, I did,
so
I did
Outlaw
get...
ones.
Okay, I did. Here, I'm gonna quickly pull up my collection really quick.
Like, and this whole trading thing, like, no. Like, you're trading electronic trading cards. I know, like, it's the everyone's like, oh, get out and talk to people. Trading baseball cards is not something that should be done anonymously over the internet. That is something you sit around and then you barter with another person.
By the way, I did trade that hydration card, my autographed one, for a Ryu Jaehan.
That's wonderful. Do you get the actual card with his signature on it?
Yeah, that's one of the physical ones.
Okay, so they will send you that.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
And plus, I didn't want Brigbot hydration.
And I mean, is he even Brigbot anymore?
Well, now he's Benchbot.
Benchbot. I don't know. It's just a weird situation. You're like, I'll trade you this and this, and then I'll throw in this person's card. I don't know if you can do that in this. So consider me disappointed.
Yeah, it's just one of those scenes, like, I'm so used to, like, Pokemon, like, which I mentioned on stream, where, like, basically, like, with Pokemon, like, when you buy the physical packs, you get a promo card, or a promo pack, basically, for, like, their online trading card. So you get one physical, booster box, and then when you, log into the game, you're able to receive, like, a digital one. Like, we're so used to it being the other way around, and it feels really weird to gate physical cards just behind this digital way of doing it. And plus the fact that, like, it's only... Like, there's no app for this either, which is very disheartening as well. It's just all on their website. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it. We'll see how often they do, like, promo packs for the Overwatch League stuff. That's gonna be something I'm gonna keep an eye on.
Yeah,
I know
like,
they did one, but it was only for, like, one card.
Oh, no, I got 20 promotional cards. I'm just pulling it up right now.
Maybe that was linked in one of the releases on that site? I probably missed
that. I just went to my collection. It's, so I got 20 promo-based set cards. And here's the funny thing. It's from this current season.
Right. See, I don't see that on mine.
Yeah, so, like, I have, Amang, Goushway, Soon in Paris, Otto, Bumper, Envy, like, so, like, I got those, but I don't know if they're tradable or whatever, anything like that. Like, I got this through an email.
Okay.
And it said, redeem this. It was from the Overwatch League. So it was redeem this for blah, 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 blah. And here I'm thinking, I'll get like a free pack, just to entice me. And then they're like, here's 20 promo cards from this season's players, from one from each team.
Which, I wonder if that means, like, they already have that entire set done already.
I would think so.
Because what's weird is, it's like, I remember when I got the London checklist card, which basically displays, like, the roster, like, on the back. Like, I noted, like, hey, like, there's only 7 people. So, like, they were using the roster after they basically got rid of the split between Kontu Panthera and GC Busan. So that was after they kind of cut the weight towards the end of the season. So there was definitely a cutoff point before, like, they ran to production for the cards. So I don't know. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it, but early impressions have not been the best, but I am curious to just gauge where the market is for the physical cards and seeing what I can recoup based on some of the cards that I don't want. Which are mostly the Outlaws ones. I mean, let's be real. You're muted, by the way.
The one, the Gladiators one, where like the three best players in the league, and it was Fissure, Surefour, and Big Goose. And you're like, what? What is this? I don't get this. They're not the three best players in the league. So, I don't know. Hopes dashed. Sad face. I was so excited for today. Classic WoW, Overwatch League trading card game.
I feel like we
came
just
up
need
flat.
a tweet at Tops. Be like, hey, they did this wrong, you do it right.
Come on, Tops. I know you don't have a contract with them, and I doubt Upper Deck is going to let you have a contract with them, but get it done anyway.
Work around it, find a way. But anyways, we do have some esports news that we need to talk about. A lot of it is out of the Florida Mayhem camp, but we'll get there here. We'll get there in a couple of minutes. So first up, just an update on Trials Korea that has wrapped up, and our boys in Fusion University went 5-0, and they crushed it. So in their first run in Path to Pro in Korea, Fusion Uni finished with a plus 15 map differential. And if you're curious about, like, well, how did these other teams do in Trials Korea? Honestly, not that great. The other team that qualified was Meta Athena, who had a 4-1 record, but they only had a plus 2 map differential. And, I mean, that's a pretty significant difference between the 1 and the 2 qualifier. Now, what does this mean for Fusion University? Well, it means that they are moving on to Contenders Korea to compete in this upcoming season, which starts on June 25th. And during their Contenders Korea debut, we will have Fusion University going up against Runaway. And of course, outside of that, we got Genji going up against Jisoo Busan Wave. But I'll be honest, Ed, like, when I saw this, like, part of me was like, do I want them to have a hard match first, or do I want, like, a soft blow, like, leading into it? But you know what? Like, let's just jump right into the deep end here. We'll see how good Fusion Uni is against the top Korean teams.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more notable matchup. Like, I don't think Runaway is... I mean, they're not as good now as they were back when the Titans were the players on the team, and the Vancouver Titans are the team that made Runaway the name. Like, if you're like looking at two names in contenders throughout the world, you're looking at Fusion Uni and Runaway at this point. So this is the first, and you won't hear me say this often, the first comment at Reddit is actually correct. Like, this could break the record for the most viewed contenders match. Just because there's that much hype around this. Like, this match is probably going to be a better quality match than 90% of the Overwatch League matches we see this week. Let's just be real here. Like, most of these players are Overwatch League ready, minus the fact that they're not 18. Like, you know, give me all the underage players on these two teams, and I'll make a top 5 Overwatch League team. And I wouldn't have any problems doing so. So this will be great. I know I'm going to watch it, not live.
Because this would be like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, it is in Korea. I'm not watching this live. But I will watch the VODs when I wake up. Or first time I can watch them. So it will be interesting. But man, they just went out of the gates just like, you know what? What's the biggest matchup we can do?
Yeah, I mean, it was either that or Element Mystic.
Yeah, and no idea what's going to happen. Because it's also a different, like, here's the other thing is, it's a different meta over there. You know, they're not running goats really over there.
Nope.
So, like, you really have to be like, okay, Fusion Uni was running, you know, goats for the most part. Kind of, sort of. But, you know, the whole thing with... I'm still baffled by who are you not being on that team. But that's besides the point. Like, it's just... I'm interested to see who plays what over there. I mean, besides Alarm playing Zenyatta. That's just the given at this point. So, it will be fun. It will be a really good matchup. I highly recommend everyone watch it.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not NA crashes and burns in Korea. It's gonna be a big storyline.
Here's the thing: is it NA?
NA org.
Okay.
Korean team.
Okay, because like, it's they have. Well, Snillo isn't Snillo European?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's Elk.
Elk.
Yeah, it's Elk.
And the only reason Elk is on the team is because Karkar couldn't legally couldn't really play over there because he's under 18.
Mm-hmm.
What team did Karkar end up on?
I don't know if Karkar has ended up on another team, to be honest.
I mean, he should be picked up instantly. I don't know. So watch it. Definitely watch it.
And avoid spoilers.
Yes, and avoid spoilers.
Especially on this one. So outside of that, we also have a couple of roster moves, and we got some World Cup news as well. So first up, let's talk about Shanghai. And Shanghai has gone out and acquired a new off-tank from the Toronto Defiant. So, Shanghai have kind of been at the forefront of the Sombra play in the Overwatch League, basically, from the get-go, and they've kind of looked to add some additional strength to that front line. So they've acquired Envy from the Toronto Defiant. So this now brings the Dragons up to 9 players, with Envy joining Guri as the team's second off-tank. Now, Defiant, at this point, are down to 8 players on their roster, and the Dragons are the third team that Envy has been on. He was with the Valiant initially, and then moved to the Defiant. But what's interesting about this is you have, the Defiant and then the Dragons, who are on, opposite ends of the spectrum right now. Because you have the Defiant, who have lost 7 out of their last 9 matches. Dragons have been doing fairly well. They're 6-3 in their last 9. But what's curious about this, Ed, is the fact that we have a team that hasn't been running a lot of D.Va. They've been running a lot of Dean on Sombra. And we haven't really been seeing a lot of, D.Va looks really that much at all from this team. So it's kind of in a situation where, are they just trying to shore up what they feel like is a weakness, or are they trying to prepare for something that could come down the line?
I mean, I think they're trying to shore up a weakness. I mean, they lost Guardian, their other off-tank. And Guri is, not playing at all. Really, just not playing. I think they just wanted to shore it up. I don't, a lot of people are reading into this a little bit too much. Let's look at the facts here. Envy is on his 3rd team. He can't cut it as a starter at this point. If you're on your 3rd team in, a season and a half of the Overwatch League, you're destined to be a backup, or you're just not as effective as a starter.
I feel like with Envy, though, I mean, I don't fault him for the Valiant, because obviously Space was hyped up to be the hype man, basically, behind that team. And then with Toronto, it was kind of something similar, because they had the Element Mystic front line, so they favored the synergy over, kind of, breaking those two apart. So I just feel like it's been a series of unfortunate events if you're Envy.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but was when Gods and Sharik got called up on Toronto, everyone was just like, yep, nope, they're replacing the tank duo. There wasn't a second guess of, okay, well, they got brought up to back up, the current take line and stuff like that. There was no talk of that. It was, they're coming up to replace them. If you're considered a true starter, that's a non-option. That's not something you don't talk about, or question. They're sending Envy over to Shanghai, and it's well, they've been a top 6 team without running a D.Va. Really, they run weird comps. Like they have run Diva, they have run Goats and stuff like that, but it's not vital to their success. And this is just more of a bit player, a bit role player. I wouldn't read too much into this. I just think it's someone who's going to see playtime from time to time, and probably just wanted off Toronto because he got replaced again, and he saw no chance of him getting back into the starting lineup. This way, he actually has a chance to play.
In worst case scenario, he can just go join Fearless on Team CC.
Yeah, see, there you go. Or,
you know, probably won't want to do.
Go to the Justice. They need a lot of help. Like Trenchfoot in chat.
Well, I don't think just one
like
one move is gonna fix Washington.
No, but their tank line needs to be replaced.
But you know what? At least the other bad team is doing something.
Are they?
Can't really say. Well, I mean, they're attempting to do stuff. They're you can't say the same about Washington. So with that being said, let's talk about Florida Mayhem, and then we'll circle back to the World Cup. Let's just talk about all the roster shifts that we have seen. So Florida, they've been putting in some work. Bare Hands has been put in pen to paper, and they have 4 new players and 3 new people on the coaching staff. So this is a lot, I'll be honest. So first up, they signed a new support player. They acquired Rain from O2 Blast, who, if you followed Contenders Korea, O2 Blast basically came in 2nd place after losing to Element Mystic and the Hackfist, which they basically ran shot through everyone without dropping a single map, and this is a main support. What's weird about this one, Ed, is the fact that O2 Blast actually had 3 main supports on their roster. Now, you know, initially, like, I was feeling like, okay, well, maybe they're just going to pair Rain and Myunbun, who was also rumored to be signing with the Mayhem. And Myunbun was a flex support on that team. Well, they also kind of, like, announced 3 other signings, and they're at the roster max at this point, so that's kind of, like, out the window. So, with that being said, this is basically, like, a backup support. So we'll see how much playtime he's going to have, but basically, like with Rain, he was split in time with Joy and Mondu as the other 2 main supports. And they were basically, like, waiting on visas to get approved before they started to announce all of these roster changes. So we got a new backup main support, and then he also acquired 3 players from WGS Armament. So they picked up the off-tank Gargoyle, their flex DPS, DPI, as well as their main tank, Karayan. Now, I will say, like, I am somewhat familiar with these players. Not so much, I don't remember too much about DPI, but I really liked Karayan on the Reinhardt in particular. And Gargoyle is definitely a step up in regards to off-tank, because Zephyr has definitely not been cutting it as of late. But it does kind of question, still, is Florida still budget Korea? Because that's still what it looks like. Like
it is. Like, when you think of it, so, you know, they went out and signed Rain to be, you know, a support. Well, like you said, Rain, kind of a backup support on O2. Then you sign 3 players and 2 coaches from the 6th place Korean Contenders team from last season. Like, you're getting the budget Korean team. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, you're not getting the top end of the crop of Korean players to come over. You're getting the 6th place team. You know, they won 2 matches in Korean Contenders. Like, They now their roster is so flooded that who knows what the heck is going to happen. Like, you have 3 main tanks on this roster right now. You know, you have your 4 supports. You have actually only 3 DPS, which is weird. And you know, you have like, I just went through their organization. They have 10 coaches and general managers
As opposed to, like, what, the 2 or 3 that they had last season?
Yeah. And, like, everyone talks about bare hands. He's not even the general manager.
Mm-hmm.
He's the assistant general manager. Like, he's just kind of the spokesman.
Well, he's the one that we always see.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
He's the spokesman. So, I don't know. Like, maybe this could work. They are eligible to play right away. I don't think they will, but they are eligible to. And it'll be interesting to see. Like, the big thing is fate. Like, that's the biggest question mark to me is fate. Like, do you break up the tank line that you just brought in Gargoyle and Karayan, and put Fate in there as the tank to play with Gargoyle and break up that synergy? Is DPI going to start over, BQB or Saya player? So who knows what's going on with this team? They're probably not going to win anything. Plain and simple.
Well, here's the thing, Ed. You know, we joke about this being budget Korea. But I remember, you know, kind of like when Toronto was announced, and I was like, really? They're building around Meta Athena? Well, Meta Gaming? I was like, what is Toronto thinking? And then Toronto kind of, like, middled out so far this season. Which is more than you can say about Florida so far.
This is, like, the 4th big move they've made to their roster in the past, like, 7 months.
Right. And that's the other thing, too. Like, they keep trying to bring on new people, and nothing has worked yet. And now it's just kind of gotten to the point where, like, basically, like, within the last couple of months, they basically have half a new team.
Mm-hmm.
So they've basically gone from having the bare minimum to now being at, like, max capacity. And whether or not they're going to be able to fit all the pieces together or just find something that works remains to be seen. But they've not found something that has really gelled as of yet. So I don't feel like they have anything to lose, and I would rather see them, you know, at least experimenting now to try to build that synergy than just waiting until, like, the off-season. Like, maybe this WGS trio is something for them to build around. Like, I would much rather see them play Karayan and Gargoyle than trying to separate the two, similar to, you know, what Toronto has been doing. And maybe they can just build off of that. But, you know, it's still very confusing. I don't know who's going to be starting, who's going to be sitting on this team. Yep. But, you know, at least they're actually trying to make change. It's just a matter of how are they going to work everyone in? Like, are they going to try to do something like Seoul has done, where they have, you know, 2 different prep teams depending on the week? We don't know. But with WGS, this was a team that was basically built from the ground up, because it was one of the smaller organizations, and, you know, there's definitely something to be said about the work that's put into an esports org like that, so we'll see whether or not that experience is going to lead to success in the Overwatch League. I don't have high expectations, but, you know, with Mayhem, they don't really have any other direction to go other than sideways or up.
This is very true. You know, at least they're doing things. They're trying things. I will give them that. That's about all I'll give them at this point.
Right.
Because I have no idea what they're doing.
They're doing stuff and things.
Way to be so tech. They're doing stuff and things. They're doing something. We're not quite sure what, but we know it's something.
Oh, they're not driving buses anymore.
No, they're not.
Because they don't have Tavik.
Visas aren't driver's licenses.
They are not. But they are credit cards. But you know what? I don't think you're going to be, you know, paying for salaries that way.
No. And that's the other thing. Because aren't most of these contracts guaranteed for a full year?
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing you have to take into account when we talk about budget Korean players, is how many of these guaranteed contracts did they get rid of and still have to pay? Like, you're talking Apply, Tavik.
Yeah, there were at least 3 that they
At
were
least
still paying
3.
for.
Plus, you have 12 more guaranteed rosters, plus the 10 GMs and coaches that they have. And it's just like, you're not making any money off winning. So that's not paying for anything.
We're also not making money off of losing.
True. So, like, it's that could play into account with all of it. Is they have, like, a payroll they want to stay under.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going with the Boston approach. Just
except they're sticking
sign
with
all these random players nobody has heard of and hope 1 or 2 pan out.
The difference is, though, they're sticking with one region.
True.
Boston didn't do that.
Boston will never do that.
Then again, Boston is doing their own confusing things, which I'll talk about in a bit. But anyways, we do have some World Cup news. So we do have our top 10 ranked countries and the full committees for all of the eligible countries out there. So just to, refresh everyone's memories in regards to the top 10, we have our Korean overlords at the top, South Korea. We got Canada, China, France, United States rounding out the top 5. So all of those teams will receive an automatic pass into the group stage, which of course will be at BlizzCon.
Boo.
And, you two can go watch and see United States not make it out of the round of 8. Outside of that, we got, 6th through 10th. So we have United Kingdom, the team that beat us last year. We got Australia, Sweden, Russia, and Finland. So, of course, with each committee, we have the head coach, the GM, and the community lead. And right now, we're in the team tryout phase, which is going to be going on through July 14th. So basically, these committees are looking at potential player lists and have to submit them on or before July 14th. And then after that, they'll vote on the final 7-man roster. So looking at the U.S. committee, and we have Bowlin as our GM. We have Fresh as our community lead, and then Arrow is returning as our head coach.
First off, let's go back to the top 10. The top 10, with the top 5 getting an automatic invite, is wrong. The U.S. should not be in there. They shouldn't. They did not finish in the top 5 last year.
Yeah, just based on overall.
Yeah, United Kingdom, the team that beat them last year is below them.
Mm-hmm.
They should be in there. Now, I get why they put the United States 5th, because that would be horrible if the United States did not make it and it's held in the United States. It's like having the World Cup, but not the home team being in the World Cup type of situation. And so they're just like, well, if we put them at 5, it's idiot proof. They can't not make it. Well, you know what? Then United Kingdom deserves to be automatically included based on their performance last year. So I was a little bitter about that. As far as like the coaches and whatnot, I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't know if there was a better coach out there than Arrow. We had talked about some assistant coaches like from the Shock and whatnot, but I mean, it's hard to argue Arrow is like the most recognizable name recognition coach out there, NA coach out there.
But I feel like there's a but coming along here.
But he needs to actually pick a worthwhile team, not a bunch of trash team players.
Like the Outlaws.
Like, I'm sorry. You basically picked half Houston Outlaws because they're the only NA players last year. Well, you know what? Rockets will not be on the team this year. And if he is, I am actively cheering against you. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you have name me one Houston Outlaw player that should be on Team USA.
Muma's the best case that you can have.
Yeah, but are you going to pick Muma over Super?
I feel like that's going to be very dependent on the meta.
Even though Super and Space are really good friends.
Right.
And Space is going to be...
I feel like if Reinhardt isn't the primary tank, you go with Muma.
So it's just, yeah, they just need to pick a better team. Don't pick the fan favorites, pick the actual best players. Plain and simple. That's all you need to stick to. And get better production when you announce a team, because that crap that they did last year in someone's backyard was some of the worst crap I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was like frozen 30 seconds at a time, and it just looked like an awkward family outdoor picnic.
Right.
So,
well, you know what, Ed? We already know Korea's gonna win again. I mean, they got Coach Krusty.
oh yeah, Korea's gonna effing destroy us. Like, there's all they have to do is just pick the Titans.
Like, I know, like, South Korea's like, hey, we're gonna do tryouts.
They're gonna be like, but we're really gonna just take the starting six.
And this is gonna be like after like the Titans
Jonak.
go 28-0.
Yeah, they're gonna be like Titans and Jonak, because for some reason, for some stupid reason, that's another thing about this World Cup that annoys me. 7 players is all you're allowed to have.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have 10 players? So you can actually have a roster. You get more people involved. Get more people behind it. Not like, hey, you got one person on the bench. Hope nobody can't make it. Or something happens, because then you're SOL. So, I don't know. I'm excited, but if Raucus is on the team, I'm actively cheering against you, Team USA. You are starting out at the bottom already. You have to work your way back up. Let's just go with that.
Well, I mean, when you finish in 8th, you have a lot of work to do.
But you get ranked 5th. You finished in last place, but you're actually at number 5.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone else didn't do so hot either. UK's like really the only exception.
Who do you think would be a good NA team? Like, for, let's say, for support.
I honestly, like, they should just pick Moth and Sleepy. Like, if I'm being honest, we already know Elk's not trialing because he's focusing on Contenders Korea.
Yeah. I mean, Moth and Sleepy are a really good combination to have. I mean, they know how to play with each other. You know, what about damage dealers?
See, this is when it gets tricky, because a lot of people are just going to default to Sinatra, Hydration, and probably Corey.
I mean, I can see that. Just trying to think of some other NA players.
Well, we have to remember too, like, they have to be 18.
Blase? Isn't Blase from the US?
This is something that we'll definitely talk about.
Yeah.
We'll field our teams closer to, like, that July 14th.
Is that when it's, like, officially picked as July 14th?
Well, that's when they, like, have, like, their potential player
down.
list to, like, the 12. And then I'll go further.
Okay.
So, we'll definitely talk more about the World Cup then. And, you know, we could jokingly field a South Korean team and then have, like, 40 different teams that are still going to end up being better than United States.
You know, it would just I'd laugh so hard as if Krusty comes in and it's like, nope, I'm going to do a mishmash. And just take random players. He's like, no, I'm taking Rascal.
You know what would be the best thing? Is if Krusty is like, you know what? We're gonna bring on the Mayhem, and then the Mayhem just crush everyone.
Or they take one of the Contenders teams and just be like, we're gonna play them. And then they still crush us all? Yeah. That will happen.
I would not doubt it whatsoever. But anyways, let's talk about what's been going on in the Overwatch League this past week. So, a couple of things. One, Boston. What the F? Like, what is going on in Boston, Ed? They are in, like, this weird state right now where they're like, you know what? We're gonna take AimGod, who is by far our best player. We're just not going to play him at all. Like, they ran Persia a lot. either with Alamon, at least in the first set, and then they brought Kelix back in. And then, for whatever reason, they decided, like, hey, Blase and Color Hex, let's just swap roles randomly. And then they tried that for a while, so you had Color Hex on Brigitte and Blase on Zarya, and it's just... it's confusing, man. I don't know what they're doing. And then, you know, they run into Houston, and Houston's doing fairly good things, and then they only put up, like, 2 map objectives in 4 maps. It's just awful. And, like, they couldn't even beat Philadelphia Fusion, who are just equally as crap right now. And what was a really hard series to watch was that one ended 2-1. But I don't know what Boston is doing with these roster experimentations, and with the amount of movement that we have seen on the backline and the random swaps, it does not bode well for Boston right now.
No, it seems like it's a continuing topic of every few weeks we have with Boston Uprising, is what are they doing? Like, no one ever quite knows what's going on with the Boston Uprising. Like, dating back to last year. Like, everything they did were just like, say what now? Like, you did what now? Like, you only have 2 offensive players on your entire roster. Okay, we got that. You're going to trade away your best player in Note. All right, that's fine. Go ahead, do that. We're going to trade away basically everyone else on the team during the off season. All right, let's go do that too. Mm-hmm. It's just, we don't know what they're going to do. And I think the only staples we really thought of on this team were Aim God and, at this point, Kelix. And then they threw all that out the window and just did stuff that I don't know. And the reason they're doing so bad is because they probably don't practice this. Like, are they practicing, you know, all sorts of different support combinations? Because there was, you know, Alamon, and then Persia, and then you mix in a little bit of Kelix in there, and then AimGod didn't play this week, but he played a couple of maps last week. You know, are they practicing all these comps throughout the whole week? Because that's too much to practice for one team.
Right.
And maybe they're just kind of hoping that one of these different comps that they get just clicks and things start to work. That's a horrible strategy to go about. Like, hoping something works out is not an effective coaching strategy. And, you know, Boston is plummeting.
Yeah, like, and if you need any proof of that, Ed, just look at Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Boston-Philly match, we all are a little stupider just for watching that match. Like, that was just like, nobody wins when those two teams play at all. Like, at least if Washington and Mayhem play each other, one of them's guaranteed a win, which is a big deal.
Right.
But if it's Boston versus Philly, it's just we all lose because they're both spiraling out of control. And I have no idea why Philly is, because, or at least why Philly isn't actually trying to change anything. They're just kind of accepting their fate of sucking. But Boston, I don't get it. It's just weird. It was a very weird week.
I'm trying to find that promo redemption in my emails, and I can't find it, so I'll look later. But yeah, Boston is definitely trending downward. And, like, I feel like, too, like, they've been trying to incorporate the Sombra. We saw a little bit of the Hackfist comp. It's kind of hard to tell, like, how practiced that is. But I do feel like Fusions has definitely taken, like, a pretty big step back. He did play a little bit better in that series against Philadelphia, but he's definitely had his issues in the past, and you could tell, like, he got very frustrated, especially against Houston Outlaws, so we'll see how he's going to progress at this point. So you basically have, like, Boston, who's been taking a couple of steps back, and then you also have a team like Atlanta, who have really been like challenging some of the top teams lately, who are off to an 0-4 start this stage. Now Atlanta is 0-4, which basically means, like, right out of the gate, hey, like, Stage 3 playoffs are not happening, and they're starting to lose a lot of ground when it comes to, like, kind of like the middle of the pack right now. They're still in, like, the discussion, but with the way that they have been playing lately, it's really hard to see things improving, especially when you've been looking at their ult economy as of late. It seems like there's a lot of distrust going on between this team when they're playing, where they're basically throwing out ults either whenever they feel like it, or they are throwing out ults in fights that are already secured or already lost at that point. And, you know, unfortunately for them, you know, they're able to finish 3-4, but looking back, the cutoff point has always been 4-3. So with Atlanta, we kind of have pegged them as kind of like the fusion of like Season 1. This is a team that has like that wild card aspect where they're able to defeat the top teams. I mean, heck, like they're the only team that's beaten New York Excelsior, who are 15-2 at this point. But then, you know, they seem to stumble against some of these equal or even lesser teams at this point. And I feel like there's times when, you know, Babybay's definitely been, like, high risk, high reward at times, but then there's other times where he's just kind of, like, floundered. We've seen weeks where he's competed and outpaced a notcher, and then other weeks when he's kind of an afterthought. And it just seems like the consistency aspect of this team hasn't been able to get nailed down lately.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint this team because you also have to take into account they've had probably the roughest four games in a row that we've seen. You know, they played Shock, Titans, Dragons, Soul. And you know, the Dragons against the Dragons and Shock, they took them to Mat 5s. You know. So they're not, their standings wise this stage, they're below the Washington Justice. That's not the case, people. Like, they're a better team than that. But I don't think they're anything better than... I'd put them right around 12, 13, 14 at this point. I just don't think the teamwork is there. Right. Like you said, Babybay is just... People love Babybay because... Honestly, I don't even flippin' know why people love Babybay. Like, he wasn't that great when he was on the Shock last year. Do people love him because he did the Babybay pose? Like, people like him on Twitter? I just don't get it. Like, he's never proven that he's been that good. He's above average. I'll give him that. But there's a reason he lost his starting spot last year on the Shock. You know, there's a reason that they felt it was okay to trade him this year to Atlanta. Like, and a lot of people, like, and I'm just hearing Bob's voice in my head right now, but he's so, like, there's a reason. If you're good and you're good enough to start, but you're on the bench, the team is not going to give you up for nothing. They don't want to give their competitors good players for nothing. If they're getting nothing in return, they're not going to give them up. So there's obviously something there. Like, Babybay is the weakness of this team right now. Like, I'll say that. Erster has been performing well. Dogman and Masa work well together. Dogman, outside of his personality, is just a horrible personality. Popo, you could probably upgrade, but Dako is a good off-tank. Like, you have the skill. I don't get why they're 0-4. I can see them being 1-3, realistically. In my mind, I think I had them at 1-3 because I obviously had them losing to the Shock, the Titans, and then just going 1-1 versus Shanghai and Seoul. But I don't know. Babybay is just not the answer for them. And everyone wants him to be this amazing player when in reality they probably need to get rid of him. Or bring in somebody else who can be a better team player, better ult economy, knowing what's around him, doing all that stuff. And maybe they'll get better. But right now, the team just seems in disarray.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the best way I can put it. And I'm okay with this.
My dog is going nuts downstairs. Hopefully that doesn't get picked up too much. So speaking of teams that are in a little bit of disarray lately, what's going on with the Shock? I mean, the Shock have definitely seemed to be stumbling so far in Stage 3. And, like, it's definitely gotten to the point now where Titans have reclaimed the top spot in our power rankings. And you can thank none other than the Houston Outlaws for that, because it was the Outlaws who upstaged the Shock in a 5-map series, with the Outlaws taking that one 3-2. But really, we've always talked about, like, that any given Sunday mantra that we see in a lot of sports being adapted to the Overwatch League, and this was definitely one of the bigger upsets that we have seen, because at the time, we had the Shock, who were ranked 3rd overall in the standings. Outlaws were 17th at the time of this match. And of course, you can see, like, the Outlaws have gotten, like, that bit of bravado back. They definitely had a lot of confidence built, even in that loss against New York Excelsior in the week prior. So it's been a couple of things. For one, Super definitely got bested by the Sombra play from Dante. Dante has always been really good at Sombra, but, like, this season it's been very hit or miss on the Outlaws, just due to the struggles and the mindset of the Outlaws during kind of like some of their issues in the earlier part of the season. But Dante has been really the cornerstone of the Outlaws here as of late, and Super just did not have an answer for it. And we got to see him on the fast stream getting tilted by Surefour, kind of like openly mocking him about Sombra play, which was fantastic. But it's been interesting to see just how, this team goes, a perfect stage, basically. They didn't drop a single map. Then they lose a map right out of the gate. And then we see the introduction of more Sombra play. And now all of a sudden, they're just not able to match what some of these other teams are doing, even though they are technically, like, on a different level than a lot of these other teams. So it's kind of been like a number of things, but I don't want to like read too much into like the lack of confidence after like the streak snap, because I don't feel like that was too big of an issue, but it seems like right now they need to find a way to deal with Sombra. But the problem is the teams that they're going up against, kind of like the remainder of the stage, they don't really tend to run a lot of Sombra either, so it's kind of a reason to start to get worried come stage playoffs, when we know that Sombra has started to become more and more of a must-pick here as of late.
Yeah, and I also think people are reading into this a little bit too much. Like, the Shock lost one match since stage 1. Like, let's slow our rolls here a little. They have the same win-loss record as the Vancouver Titans do at this point. I'm not saying the Shock are better than the Titans at this point. No. But the sky is not falling on them. My guess is they just looked past the Houston Outlaws. Much like everyone else looked past the Houston Outlaws. And didn't prepare for them. And didn't prepare for Dante to basically require back surgery in that matchup. Because let's be real, Dante won that series. Like, it was all on Dante. The other guys played just fine, but it was Dante who won it for them. And I don't think anything's wrong with them. I think they got a little bit cocky. They looked down a little bit too much at some of the weaker opponents. Like, you look at it, they lost to Houston 3-2. What did they do next?
Last week, they 4-0'd Dynasty.
Exactly.
I actually didn't see that match, so I don't know how one-sided that affair was.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided. And it was just like they came back. They're just like, no, we can't let this happen. They came back. They just 4-0'd Seoul, who at the time was undefeated, best map differential in the stage, and they're just like, nope, you're not even taking a map off of us. Like you said, they have some interesting matchups coming up. This next week, they're going to go 2-0, because I don't see them losing to Boston or the Mayhem. and then they play London and Chengdu the week after, and then they don't play the last week for the Atlanta homestand. It's just, I don't think goats is an issue. I think cockiness is an issue. And I think that's where they need to kind of rein it in. And that's where you need someone like Sinatraa to become more of a leader. Because it's not going to be Super. Super is not a leader. He's the wild card. And so Sinatraa kind of needs to step it up, I think, in the leadership role. That's just my 2 cents. I still think the Shock could be the number 1 team, and I would, if you told me the Shock win Stage 3 playoffs, I'm not going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe they won. Because they were in the last 2 stages championship games. So I still think they're the number 2 team behind the Titans. I don't think there's too much cause for panic.
Well, we'll see whether or not Uprising tend to run a lot of Sombra and how RCK does against them. I think that's probably going to be more telling if it's like a consecutive performance in regards to the level of play against Sombra. So that'll be the real tell if it just happens again when they have, another week to prepare to try to counter that look. So that being said, of course, this week we do have some pretty big games. So looking, really across the board, on Thursday we have Shock versus the Uprising. We have Eternal facing the Outlaws, Spark and Fuel. Capping off the night, we have Dragons and the Valiant. So really outside of that, I have to say, that Eternal Outlaws game is very interesting, which is kind of weird to say, because we basically have 2 teams that are coming into this match actually on a bit of a roll lately. Paris have been looking better at the 3-3, but I still feel like there's a little bit of shakiness with Benbest kind of on the front line. But Gray's been getting some pretty key picks here as of late. I know you and I have been relying on him in daily fantasy, and he's been a very good value on that end. And of course the Outlaws have been running a lot of Sombra, they've been running more DPS, so they've been looking good there. So I would imagine that they're going to continue to lean on Dante, so it's just a matter of whether or not the Eternal are going to try to counter that Sombra play. So if it's going to be a 3-3 mirror, I would expect Eternal to come out on top, but if Dante's anywhere near the level he's been at lately, the Outlaws should be able to win this one. But it's a good time for these 2 teams to meet when both of them have kind of been running here as of late.
Yeah, and it's kind of a prove it game.
Right.
Whoever wins this is proving to all the naysayers out there, no, we're actually a pretty good team. Because best thing Paris did, they benched Soon and Shadowburn. They were there in name only. They weren't in there because they were the best players. You're with Danye and Nico in your offensive lineup, it's so much better than when Soon and Shadowburn were in there. Their tank line is the iffy thing. And that's I don't know how they're going to deal with Dante's Sombra play in regards to that. That's basically what they should be practicing all week leading up to this, is how to deal with Dante and Sombra, because you shut down Sombra, I think the rest of the Outlaws fall. So I don't know. And make sure you run D.Va. That was another thing. Don't let Raucus be on Ana.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of key anti-nades. Because they would grab a lot, then he would anti-nade the ground, and then at that point it's just easy cleanup.
Yeah, if you can force Raucus onto Zenyatta, that's another thing. Those 2 things will let you beat the Outlaws every time. Just concentrate on those, because the rest of the players, while they may be good, they're not skilled enough to beat the other team 1v1 in the same roles. So just shut those 2 down and you should be good. But it should be a good matchup.
So moving on to Friday, we have the London Spitfire going up against New York Excelsior. We have the Shock with what should be an easy W against the revolving door that is the Florida Mayhem. We have the LA Gladiators going up against the Shanghai Dragons, and then to cap off the night, we have the Chengdu Hunters going up against the Vancouver Titans. Now, I'm very curious about London, New York. Primarily just due to the fact that New York has been experimenting a lot with Sabiol on the Sombra. We haven't been seeing a lot of Meko this stage. And the Spitfire have just refused to play Sombra, despite Guard having played it earlier in the season. So if you're the Spitfire, like, if you're just coming in running 3-3, there's very little chance that you're going to come out on top of this one. But I am happy to see that New York has been given SBB some more playtime. We'll see if he continues to progress on the Sombra, because really, like, when you compare, like, his day 1 performance to his day 2 performance on Sombra, it was honestly night and day. So it's nice to see that he's getting reacquainted with the stage and seeing him improve as time progresses. But really, like, Friday across the board, outside of the Shock Mayhem, which is probably going to be pretty one-sided, you do have 3 matches that have a lot of intrigue to them.
Yeah, no, you really do. I think the best one is not the Spitfire New York game. I think that's going to be a steamroll like it was 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just throw that out there. The Gladiators Shanghai game is probably going to be the most interesting one to me. That just because that is the battle of like the 2 of the 4, 5, 6 teams. Like, the 4, 5, 6 teams are Gladiators, Shanghai, and Spark. Like, those 3 teams are right there. So when any of those 2 can kind of battle each other, it's always going to be interesting. And it will be interesting to see if they play Envy. I don't know if they'll play him at all. So that'll be interesting. But, you know, I think the first 2 matches might be... As much as people want the Spitfire New York Excelsior game to be like a fight to the death, 3-2, oh my god moments, you don't generally get that with these 2 lately. So it's probably going to be New York over Spitfire rather wholehandedly.
Mm-hmm.
So
more than likely.
Yeah, and then Titans versus Chengdu. I mean, people are going to be like, oh, maybe Chengdu? No.
I mean, Chengdu did play Vancouver really well that first meeting, but
so they took 1 map?
It's been so long ago, but you know, the interesting thing is, like, lately, like, Chengdu have been getting out DPS'd. So, like, yes. It's been, like, hit or miss for the Hunters in regards to what they rely on.
Yeah, like, that's one thing with that we are kind of saying in stage 1 with stage 1 and 2 with the Hunters is, yes, everyone loves them because they're playing so much DPS and no one else is, that they're going to be so good when it becomes a DPS meta. No, it's just you're the best. It's easy to be in first place when you're the only one competing at a DPS spot. Like, yes, Jinmu was the #1 Pharah in stage 2. How many other Pharahs were there? Like, if you're competing against yourself, you're always going to come out on top. So now people are starting to use some DPS comps while playing them, and it's showing some weaknesses.
You know, you say, like, there's no competition when you're just competing against yourself, but, you know, there are times when you just kill yourself with Barrage. And then you beat yourself.
I've never done that.
Yeah, okay.
I've definitely not ever barraged into wall either.
Mm-hmm. Or a sign, or a bus, you know. Really any
signs,
surface.
they come out of nowhere.
They do.
It's a rocket. It should blow right through a sign. Physics. Stupid Jeff.
Yeah, how does it work? But anyways, moving on to Saturday, we have the Spitfire going up against Justice. That should be pretty good for the Spitfire. So, you know, they could get their win back after they get 4-0'd by New York. We have Atlanta Reign going up against Philadelphia Fusion, which is going to be an interesting match just due to the fact that they're both kind of middling out. You have Defiant going up against the Charge, and then Spark versus the Dynasty. All right, Ed. Are the Spark going to beat the Dynasty? What do you think with this one?
Yes. I do think they are going to. I think the Spark are really coming in. Like, I've been saying this all along. They've been kind of coming into their element a lot lately. And they're definitely a top 5 team at this point. They just are. And it's going to be a close matchup. I think the Spark didn't give Vancouver last week a run for their money. I think it was more they showed that they can at least hang with them for a little while, which at this point is all you can really do if you're not named the Shock. Like, and with, again, we still, like, we cannot confidently say who the hell is going to play for Seoul. We just can't. Because, you know, who knows if after that 4-0 shellacking from the Shock, they decide to change something up again, which they very easily could and probably will. So we don't know what they're going to do. I think it's going to be close, maybe a close 3-1 by the Spark, maybe even a 2-1, but I still think the Spark are going to win this one. I'm assuming you're going to go with Seoul on this one.
I'm conflicted, just like I was the last time. Last time I did tip Spark in that one, and, you know, that worked out. But, you know, Dynasty, like, I've liked Munchkin on the Zarya. Zunba on the Diva looked pretty good, especially because he was getting a lot of backline pressure, and he was just swooping in and picking off people, which was pretty cool to see, especially when he hasn't really been playing. But, you know, I hope they just keep Jaehon in, because he's been a great asset for them across the board. But, you know, this is another one of those scenes. Like, you have both of these teams who have been primarily 6th, 7th. So, on paper, this is a very close series. But I'm not sure which lineup we're going to get from Dynasty. Like, they've kind of, like, had 2 primary ones at this point. But if I had to guess, I would imagine that we will get the Munchkin Marvel lineup in this series. So it'll be interesting. It's just a matter of if there's any, like, tomfoolery where, like, they throw one team out for map 1 and then swap out. They do a lot better when they just keep the same team in throughout the series.
Yeah. Good word use of tomfoolery. You don't hear that quite as much as you really should.
Absolutely. So moving on to Sunday, we have our game of the week, which is the Chengdu Hunters going up against the Dallas Fuel. I mean, it's like game of the week only by Overwatch League. Like, saying that it's the game of the week, that's not our pick for game of the week, I wouldn't say.
I mean, the thing is it's the game, it's the best game of the day, and that's not saying much.
Yeah, Sunday is kind of lackluster. So we have Hunters, Fuel, Uprising, Eternal, Outlaws, Mayhem, and then the Valiant Titans.
Yeah. So there's some matches on Sunday. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 3-1, 3-1, 4-0, 4-0. Or it might be 4-0. It might be a 4 Overwatch day too. Like
I'm gonna go 3-1, 4-0, 3-1, 3-1. I mean, the Valiants are playing a lot better, so I could see them maybe taking a map off Vancouver, like map 4, when Bumper's just doing stupid things. I could see that happening, and I could see the Mayhem maybe taking a map off the Outlaws. Maybe.
You know, the key to the Mayhem winning is to get 2 objectives. Because we know Houston's offense has been trash. Their defense, however, has been spectacular.
But they can't attack crap. No. So, yeah, And maybe this is when you see some of these new players come in, get DPI in there, because isn't DPI a big Sombra player?
Here's the thing, like, I think they're... I don't know if they're traveling this week. I feel like if we're going to see them, it'll be next week.
Okay.
I'll
I still think they could take at least one. I'm still picking Houston to win, obviously, but I think they could take one map off of them. It's not unheard of. So. But overall, yeah, dude, these matches suck.
Yeah, Sunday's definitely the weaker one out of the week. So, that might be, like, a good day for me to stream.
Mm-hmm. Really could be. Watch, like, Boston beats Paris, Mayhem beat Houston, Valiant beat Titans. So we're gonna be like, what is going on today?
That's gonna be the sky is falling moment.
That would be the sky is falling. If Outlaws lose to Mayhem, screw you rankings. Outlaws are getting plummeted. You lose all the goodwill you got for beating the shot if you lose to the Mayhem. Putting that out there now.
That would be parody at its finest.
Mm-hmm. You beat the top, you beat the bottom. Or beat the top, lose the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't do it, Houston.
Don't
make the jokes write themselves.
Yeah, we don't need that. But anyways, if you guys want to help us out, one of the best ways to do that is to go leave us a review over on iTunes or your podcasting app of choice. We're always looking for ways to improve the show. So just as a reminder, we have kind of like changed up how we do some of the editing stuff. So if you guys see an improvement over like last week and this week, please let us know. Reach out to us. If you guys would like to find additional Overwatch-related content, check out Overwatch Recall, which you can find on our website. And then every Sunday night, we release the episodic listings for all the latest Overwatch content out there. So be sure to follow that on Twitter at OW Recall. Now, if you would like to support our podcast network, well, you can do a couple of things. You could throw us your Twitch Prime subs, which costs you absolutely nothing. Or, if you want to go an alternative route, you could also support our podcast via Patreon. We have tiers starting at just $1 a month. So you too can join the likes of our Master and Above patrons, Blazing Bob, Brendan, Josabal, and Owl in helping our network grow. So we want to thank everyone for their continued support on that front. And of course, Ed, we have a number of different ways how our listeners can get a hold of us. So why don't you go ahead and let them know how they can do that?
All right. Well, you can reach us through email at hndoverwatch@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, and that's at @hndoverwatch. We do have a website where we have all our stuff uploaded from podcasts, YouTube videos, all that fun stuff. And that is owlnshow.com. We are on YouTube, and that's youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We are on Discord, so you can come over there, make fun of our rankings, harass us all, and that's discord.me/OWLNshow. We are streaming live on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/OWLNshow. That's where Totem might be streaming while the Valiant beat the Titans. We are a Twitch affiliate, so come help support the show by subscribing to our channel and earn our network emoticon. So our podcast network does stream pretty regularly because we have a lot of shows. So Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific, we have the Overwatch League Network. Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, we have our fantasy podcast, OWL by the Numbers. We have this show, Heroes Never Die, which airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, and then host streams when available run on a flex schedule, so be sure to follow us in our Discord, discord.me/OWLNshow, to be notified when we go live. As Totem had previously mentioned, we do have our Patreon page, so patreon.com/OWLnetwork. Come over there. Any help would be much appreciated. And then you can contact me personally on Twitter, and that's at Edanar Overwatch. That's EDANAR Overwatch. Totem, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me over on Twitter at TotemlyDrunkCTR. And of course, like, if anyone is buying packs for Upper Deck for the Overwatch League, feel free to add me on that site too, which is Totally Drunk, and maybe we can make some trades. Please, someone, take my Outlaws cards. Give me something better, because I don't want them.
They're not worth anything.
I mean, maybe the Muma card. That's probably be the only thing of value. But with that being said, thank you again, everyone, who's been hanging out with us tonight on another episode of Heroes Never Die. This has been episode number 165. I've been your host, Totally Drunk, joined, as always, by my co-host, Edinar, and we hope to see you guys back for our next show. Take care, and have a good night.
Have a good one.